concept of manifestation might sound foreign to you. You may have heard the buzzword, or you may have become a serious practitioner of manifestation. And so today, I want to share with you how we can actually manifest in our careers and corporate lives and then apply it to our personal lives. But before I start with the story about how I manifested a trip to Monte Carlo, all expenses paid, I first want to introduce myself. If you are new to me on YouTube, I'm Stefani. I'm a certified life and abundance coach. I have sold over $30 million of products and services throughout my sales career, and I recently launched Abundance Attractors a year ago, along with my own company where I coach businesses and professionals on how to up-level their lives and think differently. Thank you for joining me today. If you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe below. That will help me expand my reach, help me bring more joy and abundance to people all over the world. And I appreciate any comments or questions you want to leave below because I do read them and I try to take the time to create custom videos around what you are asking and what you are saying. So without further ado, let me go into the Monte Carlo manifestation story. It was about 10 years ago, even before maybe the secret had really permeated our consciousness, although it certainly had been published. I wasn't really thinking about manifestation. I just knew that when my company announced that in addition to the standard sales award that was available, a new level of award would be created for that particular fiscal year. And it included not only being in the top 300 people of this global massive organization, but that you would also receive a free, all expenses paid hotel, airfare, first class rooms, all the food and drink you could possibly wish for, and gifts while you were there to Monte Carlo in Europe. And I just knew when I heard that announcement that I had to win that trip. I didn't exactly know how. I knew that in my job, there were goals to set, there were milestones to achieve. If any of you have been in a sales career, you are familiar with quotas. So I did know the mechanics of how, but I didn't exactly know what clients or deals were going to show up that I could transact upon and hit the right level. And here was the kicker. The company could not tell you exactly how much you needed to earn for the company to win the trip because it was going to be a percentage or a number, the top 300. And so even they didn't know what that qualifying number would need to be. So all year I worked hard, but I spent time thinking about what it would be like to, at the time, tell my spouse, I'm no longer married, but tell my spouse that we had won the trip. I pictured telling him that great news. I pictured the email coming from my boss or however it would come to tell me that I had won. And I just envisioned pictures of Monte Carlo. I would go online. I would look at the hotel that I knew we were going to be staying at. I visualized walking along the ocean, that jagged rocky coast with all the very elite and wealthy of Monte Carlo, and going to the Monte Carlo casino where I believe a James Bond film had been created, or a scene from a James Bond film. And I even went and bought this beautiful long red dress that I knew I was going to wear one night at a special event in Monte Carlo. It started to get down to the wire of where I knew in about November of that year, we were on a calendar fiscal, January to December, of where I knew that I needed like one more big deal to even have a shot at being in that top 300. But I also believed I had seen myself in Monte Carlo. I felt the feelings of what it would be like to make that announcement. And then I also found out that month in November that they weren't going to send an email. Your boss wasn't going to tell you. Instead, we were all invited to this big sales meeting where at the meeting, they would put on the huge screen who had won and you would get to cross the stage and shake the hand of the president. So in November, I really kicked in, visualizing, walking across that stage, hearing my name, seeing it come up on the screen. I knew there was no other option but to win it, but I also knew that I had a hunch that I was falling short in my sales. So there was a customer that had wanted to work with me to buy my company's product or a service, I'll keep it general. And he and I had been working together for a month or so on what that budget would look like, how much access he would need for his teams, all of that good stuff that goes into a deal, creating the value prop, the business proposition. It was a fairly complex opportunity and a problem for me to solve for him so that he could get what he wanted. And the days started ticking by. We were in December, second week of December. The third week of December, he called me and he said, Stephanie, I think I found the funds to buy this. And it was a 6-figure deal. It was the deal that I felt absolutely confident that if I got it in by December 31st by 11 p.m. Central and had it sent in and processed, I would be going to Monte Carlo. I just felt it in my bones. So what's interesting is that third week of December, when he called me and said, I think I have the funds, I drove out to his corporation because his corporation was in the same city where I lived. And we started to kind of get everything ready, even though he wasn't ready to sign the paperwork. And I remember shaking his hand and he said, I'll do everything I can. He did not know about this trip. I made it a practice to never tell clients like, hey, if you sign this, I'm gonna get this trip, because I wanted to happen organically and I wanted it to happen for the good of my client, that he would get the resources he needed so his team could be successful. That's really important when we're manifesting, is that we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the good of creating something with someone that will help them or serve them. So as I was leaving the company and driving down the highway, what passes me on the left-hand side, I almost drove my car off the road because it was a Monte Carlo car. Now those cars hadn't been made for maybe 15, 16, 20 years. And a bright orange Monte Carlo, I'm in the center lane, it passes me on the left-hand lane. And it was so bright, it caught my attention. And I saw Monte Carlo on the back. And I knew deep in my bones that that was my sign from the universe, that my wish had been fulfilled. And so I stayed in that trust. And wouldn't you know, I bit my nails through Christmas. He still didn't have funding. On December 30th, he was on Christmas break and he called me and he said, Stephanie, I got the funding. And I said, could you do me a huge favor? Because it actually would help me since you've secured the funding. Can you meet me somewhere to sign the paperwork? This was before we were all using DocuSign or Adobe Sign. And he said, sure thing. Let's meet at 2 p.m. today at the Dunkin' Donuts off so-and-so road. And he left his family during his holiday break, drove on a very cold winter day here in St. Louis to meet me in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot where he signed the paperwork and handed it to me. I booked that deal and I knew in my heart of hearts, I went into the new year thinking I have won this trip to Monte Carlo. And it was in early January that we had that big meeting we all flew to. I think it might have been in Orlando. And I remember sitting in the dark auditorium and the president said, okay, it is now time to announce the winners of this contest and who gets to go on the trip, the elite 300 from our entire global organization of thousands and thousands. And alphabetically, the names started coming up. And sure enough, there was my name in bright lights. And my boss was shocked. I was the only person out of his region to get that award. But I just looked at him because I had been telling him all along, I'm gonna get that trip. I'm going to Monte Carlo. And I did. And I tell you this story because I want to draw out the elements of how it actually manifested. When you manifest, number one, you have to believe it's possible. You don't have to know how exactly it's going to happen, because I couldn't have told you at the beginning of the year when they announced that trip that it would come down to a signature on December 30th and that six-figure deal putting me into the percentage so that I would get that trip. I just knew that it was possible. I knew I was capable. I knew I had clients and people I hadn't even met yet who'd want to buy my company's services. And I knew that I could go out, find those problems to solve and help them. So I just knew. That's number one. You have to make sure you know, like you believe that you can do it or that it's possible. Number two, you have to take action. So you actually have to do the things that move you towards that goal or dream that you're thinking of that you want to manifest. So you can't sit on the couch. Manifesting doesn't work just by saying, this is what I want, and then we sit on the couch and hope it happens. We have to take inspired action. And we have to, number three, be present. We have to pay attention each day. Manifestation doesn't work if you're just constantly thinking about the end goal. You have to pay attention day after day after day. Oh, this client might sign this deal. I mean, keep in mind, there were millions of dollars that I had to sell to even get to the point where that six-figure deal at the very end on December 30th made an impact. So every day I was paying attention for, what are my clients saying? What problems are they trying to solve? You can do this no matter what you're trying to manifest in your life. You have to pay attention to the people around you, the people that are put on your path, the doors that open, the doors that shut. Because if you believe in the possibility of your manifestation, it will come to pass as long as you're present each day and paying attention to the signs. And then you need I think I'm number four. The fourth tip is you have to visualize you in your manifestation. So for me, I visualized sitting on that promenade in Monte Carlo that I saw and all the pictures I had looked at, overlooking the sea and the beautiful rocky terrain and all the terraced hills of Monte Carlo, where they run the car races. And I just also pictured myself wearing that red dress and actually could hear my footsteps on the cobblestone in that red dress walking into the casino on a special date night. And I pictured telling my spouse about it. I pictured all of those things. I put myself in the scene. And then the final piece to manifestation, number 5, is to feel the feels. Yes, you want to picture it, you want to envision it, but you want to feel as if it has already happened. It has happened. I can feel it. I can feel the warm sea salt air on my skin. I can feel the excitement of walking into that casino in my beautiful red gown. I can feel telling my partner, my spouse, the great news. I can feel the reaction from my boss when he looks at me in that dark auditorium and he's like, oh my gosh, you won. I could feel the handshake from our president shaking my hand on stage. Manifestation is not just about saying you want something. It's about feeling as knowing it has already happened. And if something's already happened to us, we remember what it felt like, what it smelled like, maybe what it tasted like, our emotions in the moment. To get to what you want in manifestation, you have to act and feel as if it has already happened. But all encompassing is that you have to believe you can do it. I could say I want to manifest being an NBA superstar. I'm 5'2" and I'm 48 years old. We know that isn't going to happen. I'm not going to be an NBA superstar because in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that that's possible for me. Just not possible. In the context of me being a professional, did I think it was possible for me to win that trip? Absolutely, I did. So I want you to think about, I had to stretch myself, but I did believe it. So I want you to think about, what do you kind of believe could happen for yourself? Where can you stretch yourself a little bit and set that intention to manifest whatever it is you've been dreaming about? Because it doesn't have to be a trip. Maybe it's an experience that you're wanting in your life. Maybe you're manifesting a relationship. Maybe you're manifesting a child, a baby. You could be manifesting just an encounter that you've been dreaming about. So I know a lot of people, we're tired of the car analogy. I have another story about that, about how I manifested a Porsche. It's a good one. But we can manifest, we can create anything we want as long as we believe it, we take inspired action, we're willing to visualize it, we're willing to be present and pay attention to all the signs so we can take inspired action every day. And then finally, we can feel it. We can feel it. We can feel our hands on the steering wheel. We can feel the sea breeze in that beautiful vacation spot. We can feel the hug or the embrace we're going to receive from the future love of our life. We can feel holding that baby in our arms. You can create what you want in your life through manifestation. So I hope this story resonated. I hope it gives you some inspiration. If you've manifested something, please take the time to comment below. I want to know. Or if you're trying to manifest something, put that in the comments below, and I'll do my best to address the themes of the comments in my next video. And please subscribe so I can expand my reach and bring the principle of manifestation into the lives of professionals worldwide, because they don't teach this stuff to us in corporations. These are things that we kind of have to figure out. So I look forward to meeting you here on more videos. I'm Stefani Seek with Abundance Attractors, and I will see you soon.